Hello, welcome to my channel, Jennifer Jackson Home and Farm. I'm a licensed real estate broker in North Carolina and Virginia. One of my specialties is hobby farms. So I stopped by the barn today to check on my pony, and I wanted to just talk a little bit about what a hobby farm is. By definition, a hobby farm is acreage used primarily for personal purposes, not for profit. Just to name a few, it could be a horse property, it could be an orchard, it could be produce, it could be chickens. That's just a few. There's a whole lot of farms. And why would you want to live this lifestyle? Because it is a lifestyle. Although it is a hobby farm, it is definitely not a hobby. It's a lifestyle. You'll have breathing creatures that depend on you, that will have to be watered and cared for and maintained. So it is a lifestyle. It is not really a hobby by title or what it's called. But why would you want to live this lifestyle? Well, getting back to nature, living off your own land, being self-sufficient, or maybe you want to do it for a small business. Maybe you want to have honeybees and go to farmers markets, and living off your own land, it's very satisfying. How do I know? I've lived the lifestyle. And that's why I think that I am qualified to call it a specialty of mine as it pertains to real estate. So where do you start? In my opinion, you start with the right realtor. The realtor that you are using would really need to understand the wants, needs, elements of a successful hobby farm. And what does a successful hobby farm look like? Well, it really depends on what your plan is. Right realtor is going to have exceptional communication, is going to listen to learn. It's going to really understand the wants and needs and elements as it pertains to the land, as it pertains to acreage. If you have livestock, how you're going to be watering that livestock. Most living creatures' basic needs are water, food, and shelter. Pertains to produce as well. Chickens, you have chickens, you're going to need to protect them from predators. So they're going to need some sort of a coop, some sort of fencing. So that realtor needs to understand the elements that go into finding the correct property for you. The right realtor will understand the outs of navigating the investigation process of hobby farm acreage. There could be land restrictions. There could be HOAs that prevent you from having livestock. There could be restrictive covenants. The layout of the land is very important. The topography of the land is very important. I know I had a client once that bought some Christmas tree property. What I didn't know at the time was that Christmas trees do not like flat land. Christmas trees like rolling. Something that I learned during that process. As if you have livestock, access to a natural water source, especially on a very large acreage, is something that is very important. And if you don't have a natural water source, how are you going to make it convenient for yourself to be able to get water to that livestock? There are many more. What type of barn you're going to be looking for to house different types of livestock? Housing cattle is very different from housing horses, and housing small animals like sheep and goats and small types of livestock is also different than housing horses and cattle. So once you've found the right realtor and you're comfortable in the communication and your personalities and personality styles mesh together well, because that's also very important, because these types of transactions don't usually happen overnight. It usually takes some time to find the correct fit. I refer to myself as a matchmaker, finding the correct property match with the buyer's needs and wants. Once you've found the right realtor and that you're comfortable with, what's the next step? Well, the next step is investigation of the acreage. What are your wants and your needs and your purpose for that acreage. Do you want small acreage that is just a couple acres? Maybe your daughter woke up one day and said, "Hey, I want a pony." And your response is, "Well, let's go get a pony." Well, what are you going to do with that pony? Where are you going to put it? You're going to board it somewhere, or are you going to look for acreage that you can have that horse at home? Now, I've had horses at home, very satisfying, wonderful experience to be able to have your horses at home, and it really is a labor of love. So, or do you want to have cattle and you need 50 acres to have that cattle to graze on? Or maybe you want to farm hay. The type of acreage, the amount of acreage is very specific to your purpose. Investigating the property takes a qualified and experienced realtor. Other elements of investigating the property could be you're going to be building on the property and living on the property. You would want to do a perk test. What a perk test is it's an investigation of the property to see if the property will allow for a traditional septic system. If it doesn't allow for a traditional septic system, then that can get pricey with using alternative septic systems. You want to investigate for a well. You would want to pick out a building site. It has to be graded and set up for your place to put your residence. And putting a barn in, you'd want high level ground so that the barn does not flood. Type of barn are you looking to put up? So many different types, and we'll do an episode specifically on each individual element and break that down a little bit further. I'll show you different types of barns: pole barns, shed row barns, run-in sheds. There are all different types of housing that you can choose of depending on what suits your needs. So further investigation of the property could include ingress and egress. If you have a property that is set back off of a private road, how do you access that property? Do you have a road maintenance agreement that you need to either put in place or investigate the terms of the road maintenance agreement? Thanks for watching. Please tune in next time. My plan for the next episode is speaking with a lender that specializes in these types of properties, discussing the lending process, the pre-approval process, what the different requirements are to be approved for a hobby farm. It's a little bit different process than residential real estate. So not all lenders will lend on these types of properties. So I will be speaking with one that specifically works with these types of properties and has an insight into what it takes to get qualified, why get pre-approved, what is the importance of being pre-approved. So please tune in next time. So glad you're here. Thanks for watching. See you soon.